Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial, I wonder what we're making. Let me bring the frame out a little bit. Let me bring it out. Simply divine, don't you love it? I'll bring it up. How gorgeous is that? This is our little Easter bag for 2023. Yes, we are doing Easter. We are doing Easter. Now, this is the only project that we will be doing for Easter. And let me see what is in this bag. Oh, yummy. Oh, excuse me. What? Let me see. Plenty of yummy chocolate there. But I wanted to show you the bag. It looks pretty much like that. And what you have is a little, I kept calling it a pearl bead or a button. It doesn't matter, but you have a little bead there so that you can actually close your bag up. And in actual fact, you can use this bag for anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be Easter, but well, we're using it for Easter today. Well, today, when I say today, I mean like in general. All right, so what will you need for your bag? Let me show you the yarn. All right, so today I used, hop out the way there, this particular yarn here. It is a maker yarn from a cotton, that is, from Lincraft, and it is an organic cotton. So I have quite a few of these in stock, and it's a standard 100% cotton, if you will. I think it is. Let's have a look. I'll get a close-up here. Let's have a look. 100% organic cotton. So very exciting. I loved using this. I did find it did tend to split a little bit. That can happen. Not always, just sometimes. If you leave your yarn for too long in your stash, that can happen. All right. I'm looking to see where the hook size is. Oh, here it is. It was right there in the first place. It's asking for a 4mm hook. Yours truly wanted a tiny little bit of stretch. Not a lot, just a little bit. So I'm using a 4.5. How much yarn did I use, I hear you ask? Altogether 35, I used 38 grams, right? So you will need roughly between 35 and 40 grams of yarn. This isn't a 100-gram ball, so if you were to use one colour, you would not run out, put it that way. So you could actually purchase a 50-gram ball of yarn and make that one bag. Simply divine. But I used whatever colours I had in my stash. All right, so whatever colours you have in your stash, just do it. Yeah, cotton is the best thing for bags. Yes. All right. The other thing you will need is, I believe I don't know if I used 1 or 2 stitch markers. I'm not sure. I've got 2 there, but I think I only used 1. You will need one of these little pearls or buttons, whatever you want to call them. You'll need one with a little tiny bit of a big eye, okay? Not a really big eye, but look at the size of the fingernail there. So just big enough to put 2 threads in, yeah? If you can find one that's a little bit smaller and you can still fit 2 threads in, that's fine as well. I use this one. I love this one. I love the size. I love the look of it. It's just simply divine. Yep. You will need a sewing needle. I believe I used 2 different types because I chose the wrong one to begin with. You will need your scissors. I'm not going to talk anymore because once again, this tutorial goes a long time. But you'll also need some of these. All right. Thank you for watching. Good luck creating your gorgeous little Easter bag for 2023 with the drawstring. All right, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. Grab the tail end of your yarn, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it up there and holding it down there. Yep. Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there. Pass the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in, grabbing your working end and just giving it a tug. All right. And now we are going to chain 4. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull it through to the loop on your hook once, yarn over twice, yarn over 3, and yarn over 4 times. All right, that's probably too close, sorry. Now you're going to slip stitch in that very first chain that you made. So what you're doing is you're popping your hook under the loop, the very first top loop, and you are pulling a loop through that stitch. Then you want to grab your piece down this way, and you can see the thread up there, yeah? And you're going to pull it through to the loop on your hook. Try not to let go of this little center that you made. You've made a center now, you formed a circle, yeah? And you're going to crochet over this tail as well. First thing you're going to do is chain 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the center. That's double crochet US terminology, treble in the UK terminology. So that's yarn over your hook, and you're popping it into the space right in the center that you just made. You're still going to crochet over this tail as well. And then you're pulling a loop through. Whoops, pays not to let go of anything. And you've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and before you continue, grab a stitch marker. Now ordinarily I would say to pop your stitch marker in the last stitch that you made, but in this case we're going to pop it in the top 2 loops of the 3rd chain from before. Now the reason I didn't do that before is it's a little awkward to let go of everything and do that at the same time. So there's the stitch that you just made, looks like the letter V, and right next to it's another letter V. That's where you want to pop your little stitch marker and top 2 loops. Now if you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a thread, a paper clip, whatever you have in stock, yeah? Alright, that's your second one. Normally when doing a granny set in the first round I would do a 3rd one, but because this is a solid piece, we're going to need to not have too many slip stitches across. So we're just going to have 1 slip stitch across. So now we're going to just chain 1 and 2. That's slip stitching later, you don't have to worry about that now. You're going to continue to fill up the space and continue to crochet over the tail, all right? And you're doing 3 double crochets like we did here, US terminology, or 3 trebles, okay? So yarn over your hook, UK by the way, into the space, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and you're going to do 2 more. Through 2, through the last 2, and 1 more. Through 2, and through the last 2. That is your first, it's actually your second cluster set if you think about it, but it's really your first full one in the round, okay? So chaining 1 and 2, and these are going to be your corners for the first part of the pattern, okay? Yarn over your hook, in there you're doing another 3. So 1, 2, whoops, let's split that yarn, and 3. Guess what? You've got another corner. Chain 1 and 2. And in there, you're doing another 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. All right. So what you have is these chain 3 will act as a double crochet. So really you can call that a double crochet. So you've got 2, 3, 3, 3, and chain 2 in between. So we're chaining 2 in between that very last corner, but we still have 1 more double crochet to put in. So keep your thread there, do your last double crochet in there, and then let's move that tail right at the back now. Don't think that's the end of it. You're going to weave that in as well later. So popping your hook into the stitch with your stitch marker, and it might pay to take it out. Maybe, I don't know, depending on how tight yours is. Pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. So now what you're going to do is actually slip stitch just in the 1 stitch, which is popping your hook into the top of that stitch. That's where the little V is. Pull a loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook, and then you're going to slip stitch into the corner. In the corner, pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Chain 1, 2, and 3, And in the same space, you're doing 1 double crochet. So off you go, putting a double crochet in there. Oh, actually, you know what you can do? Now you can actually pop your stitch marker in the chain, right? Because you don't have to hold on to anything there. So pop your stitch marker in that top 2 loops of your chain, the very top chain that you did, the last one. Then you can do 1 double crochet only, just 1. There's not exactly a granny stitch here, yeah? And then you're chaining 2, 1 and 2, and you're doing 2 double crochets in the same space. So 1 and 2. And once again, your chain 3 will act as a double crochet. So you've got 1, 2, chain 2, 1, 2. So what are you going to do in every corner? You're going to jump into the corner with 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. But before you do, you're also going to be putting a double crochet in each stitch across, yeah? So yarn over your hook, you're going into the very first stitch you come to, and if you're not sure where that is, just pull your threads over and turn it over and you can see the little V's up the top. That's where you're going. The very first one right there. Pop your hook in with a double crochet, US terminology, a treble UK terminology. Yes, and there's your second one, and there you go. 1 into there as well. And your third, 1 into there as well. And then you've got your space. What are you going to do? 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, chain 1 and 2, and 2 double crochets. It's super duper easy. And guess what? I'm just pulling my thread. That is your round. That's it. That is it. Move it over, a double crochet in the next 3 doubles, or a treble in the next 3 trebles. I must admit, I do love the solid granny look. And then you've got your corner, which you do 2, 2 and 2. That's how I remember it. 2 doubles or 2 trebles UK, chain 2, and then 2 doubles US and 2 trebles UK. Not and. You don't want to have too many stitches in there. Yeah? And then you're doing them across again. So each side is exactly the same until you get to your last corner, which we'll talk about in a minute. Here's your third one. This is your second last corner. 1. It's actually your last. If you think about the amount of corners you've done already, it's classified as your last. 1 and 2. And 2 double crochets. And 2. So here, this is where I talked about before about the slip stitching across. You've got 1 double crochet you need to do there, or treble UK. 1 into that next stitch, which was your tight stitch. You can feel it, tight slip stitch across, yeah? And so you do that one there. And once again, you have 1 in the very next stitch, which is there. That was a bit tight there. Don't do those slip stitches too tight, yeah? All right, so that's the end of your round, because all you need to do now is slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. I was going to say, if it's anything like mine, it's too tight, you can take that out. Pull a loop through. Pull it through to the loop on your hook. And you are going to change colours, which means, now if you don't want to change colours, slip stitch into this stitch and then slip stitch into the space. But we're going to change colours. So you're grabbing your loop, pulling it through, just giving it a gentle tug, and you're going to give it a cut like so. Now, if you weren't going to change your colours, you're slip stitching across, aren't you, and into there. So you needed these to be nice and loose and not so tight, yeah? Your slip stitches, don't do them too tight, right? But in the meantime, for the rest of us, we're going to change to white, all right? So what I'm going to do is not start in the same corner. just go into the very next corner, or the corner before or the corner after, preferably the corner before, so we can all work that little looped area together. Pop your hook into that corner, grabbing your tail and just pulling it through like so. This is just for the people who've changed colours. Pass your tail forward a little bit. Now everyone, from here we are chaining 3. For those of you who are with your blue should be there. Chain your 3. 1, 2 and 3, popping your stitch marker in there like so. Now we're going to do another what we call increase round. Okay, now the increase round is when you put your double crochets in these double crochets from the previous round, you had 3 that you put in there. And then you did your 2 double crochets on the side here, yeah? So now you have your 3 plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 7 to do. So what we're going to do is do our corner like normal, except for those of you who have changed colours, you're going to crochet over your tail. So yarn over your hook, over your tail, pull a loop through and do your double crochet US or treble UK, chain 1 and 2 and do another 2 in the corner covering your tail. Everybody else should be doing your normal corner. For those of you who didn't change your colour, just do a normal corner. Pop your tail at the back, by the way, for those of you who did change colours. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do our, what did I say, 7 across, yep. So yarn over your hook, and you see how I moved my work over so I can find that first double crochet, and you're going to do that all the way across, or treble if you will, all the way across, like so. 1 in each stitch. For those of you who didn't change colours, you keep going to the corner. For the rest of us, we have our 2 double crochets in the chain 3, which will act as a double crochet. What I want you to do is grab that tail at the back and hold it in your hands. And there's your first double crochet. And your second one goes into the chain. Now you can either pop it in there, which is what I'm going to do in this case, or you can pop it into the slip stitched area of your stitch. I'm going to pop it in there because I want to go over the knot so it's not noticeable. So there, and then 1 into your stitch. Be careful that you don't pop it in there and then pop it into the chain as well. No, you only want to put it in one of them. So pick either one of them and then put it into the last stitch, and I'll tell you how many you've got across. You started here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks a little bit gappy because of that knot, but that covers up later. You don't see it. All right, heads up in that area. Now you're going to jump into that corner with your normal corner. Everyone doing a normal corner. Now we know we're experts at corners now, aren't we? We know exactly what we're doing with the corners. Easy, easy. I rushed through that, didn't I? I'm sorry. For those of you new, I'm sorry. So now we're going to do our 7 double crochets across. Always move your stitches over so you can see that first one. And off you go. Doing your corner, guys. All right, now I picked up a white that was kind of, look at my white. I should have got a bigger one, but anyway, I'm going to need to change my yarn again. You don't worry about that. I'll do that off air, so that's not going to affect you. And you are doing your 7 across. Now this white I got from a different skein, has nothing to do with the same yarn that we're working with. It's completely different. It's got tinges of blue and green in it, so don't worry about it. It doesn't affect you. All right, in there, 2, 2, 2. It doesn't affect you. 1 and 2. I'm giving you all my problems today, aren't I? She's giving us all her problems. We don't care about her problems, they're saying. You don't care? I'm sorry, I'm losing the plot here. All right, 7 across this way. 1. Look at this. I'm so going to run out towards the end of the row. I might not even make it at the end. No, I will. 2, she thinks. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. By the way, if you use the blue, you would be in your tight stitches here, doing the last 2 stitches there. Yeah? Oh, but look at the white. Look at the white. Now, I'm not worried about the white because I'm going to do that off air in a minute when I show you the very next step. I hope you like this next step. Well, I think you should. It should be very easy, yeah? So you're popping your hook in into the stitch with your stitch marker. Take that undone. Pull a loop through, like so, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Slip stitch into your next stitch, like so. Slip stitch into the corner, like so. Chain 1, 2, and 3. I want you to pop your stitch marker in there, like so. Top 2 loops, like so. All right, so now what you're going to do, in that very first stitch, you're going to pop a double crochet, like so. Yes, double crochet all the way across. We're not doing any corners in this round, just double crochets. I want to see double crochets all the way across, and I should have counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 8, 9, 10, and 11. So you should have ended up with 11 double crochets across. Yeah, and I'm going to run out of yarn. Don't worry about me, you just continue. Just continue. All right, in that next space, you're not doing a corner. You're putting a double crochet, like so. What I want you to do, though, is pop a stitch marker in that corner. All right, I just want to, so you know where the corners are. You're going to do a double crochet in the very next stitch, not the corner, in that very next double crochet, or treble if you're using UK terminology. And off you go. 1, and that's 11. All right, so ignoring my little issue, you couldn't even tell I changed the thread there, could you? Look at that. It's at the back, yeah? It's going to be inside the bag. No one will notice it. We'll weave it in later. All right, so what you did was your 11 across. We are going to continue. Once again, we're not doing a corner. We're going to pop 1 double crochet in that corner. Hold it there. You're going to pop a stitch marker in there, like so. Or a piece of thread, or a safety pin, or whatever you've got. And what are you going to do? 11 across. 1, 11. Hope I'm not going too fast for you guys. I'm sorry. You can pause your video anytime you like, but there you go. All right, in this one here, what are we going to do with the corner? Just 1. And what are you going to put in there? A stitch marker. Now I'm putting in a blue just to remind me that that's the very last corner of this round. Not necessary, but I just want to know that. Yeah. And what are we going to do? 11 across. We might not need to do 11 across. Yes, we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is where it's going to get a little tight. So 10 and one more makes 11. A little tight. All right. So you're wondering, wait a minute, then what's happening here? Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The way what you've done here now is you can see this happening thinking there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. What's going to happen to your bag now is it's going to start to crunch up to form the walls of your bag. That's the reason why we popped only one double crochet in that stitch. Yeah. So what I want you to do here is to slip stitch. Let's get a close up. This is a bit tight, so hopefully yours isn't as tight as mine. Hopefully. Oh, it's really tight. I'm going to have to take my stitch marker out. Slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker. Hopefully it's not as tight. It's not too bad without the stitch marker. Pull a loop through, pull it through to the loop on your hook. So this is where we are. What I want you to do is pull a loop through. We're going to change our colours yet again. Now, if you didn't want to change your colours, you can keep this one on and do one more round of this, or whatever rounds you want to do. If you want to do it in one colour, just continue, chain up your 3, but yours truly is changing colours. All right, so we're going to change to the yellow. Well, I am anyway. Grabbing your yellow, yep, and you're going to pop it in one of these stitch markers. Now, I left the stitch markers there for a reason, because in your very next round, which we're going to do anyway, we're going to keep it there for a reason. In the very next round, I'll pop my hook in that last stitch marker. In the very next round, you will notice the pattern. So you're pulling a loop through with your new colour. Everyone should be at an area where we are in one of the stitch markers. Take out that stitch marker for now. Yep. So what I want you to do, whoops, is chain 3. So everyone, whether you are changing colours or not, everyone needs to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, pop your stitch marker in there. Now this round and the next 2 rounds, they're all a repeat set, right? So once you do these 3 rounds, you'll know what you're doing for the rest of your pattern. All right, so there's your first chain 3. You're just going to put a double crochet into your next stitch. Again, you don't need all the corner stitch markers. We're putting them in anyway. And one into your next. Everything should be exactly the same count. We have not increased anything, so your count should be exactly the same in this new round as it was in the last round. All right, so just keep going. And just keep going all the way. Look how fast I'm going. What? And the reason is I want to get to that chain stitch. For those of you who have stitch markers in, you will come to your first stitch marker. But I want to get to that little chain stitch there. So this is the stitch before your stitch marker. That's where your stitch marker stitch should be, or where we cut our thread. For now, I'm going to pop the little tail end of the white at the back if you've changed, and start crocheting into our very next stitch, which is the one before your chains, crocheting over the white tail. Not necessary, it's just something I like to do. Now, when you are popping your hook in an area where there's a little knot, you can either pop your hook in the knotted part, which I like to do to cover the knot, or you can pop it into the slip stitch section, which I don't like to do in some cases, but in this case I'm popping it in the knotted section. Just when you do your double crochet, pop your stitch marker in there, yeah, and remember that you have put it in the knot, so don't pop it in that little chain there, because that is the knot that we slip stitched into. So you just want to jump into the very next double crochet all the way around. Keep going until, whoops, I've just made a mess of my yarn. Let me take that undone for now. I just moved all the white over here and there's a big mess. just continue all the way across, until you get to your next stitch marker. Now these stitch markers, they're really not necessary, but I'm keeping them here to show you that very next round, what happens if you don't do your count right, all right? Because I've calculated that in the next round it should all even out. I'm in the stitch before the stitch marker, like so, and right into that stitch marker, stitch, taking out your stitch marker and replacing it in the one we just did. Again, if you are an experienced crocheter, it's not necessary for this, and you'll know later when we're ready to talk about the next round. But have you seen a pattern here in this round? There's been no change. Yep. And into the stitch with your stitch marker, taking out your stitch marker, replacing it. I've moved my stitch markers around and now my blue is my first. Sorry. All right. All right, I have one more stitch left and then I have the chains in that stitch there. So I'm going to do my one stitch and slip stitch into the stitch with the chains. Taking out your stitch marker, with the stitch marker, taking out your stitch marker like so, and there. So I'm going to just show you what you have so far. And what you'll start to have is that. It's a little square look for now. That shape's going to change, yeah? It's going to start like we're building walls. Yeah, we're building walls. All right, so now chain 1, 2, and 3. Now this is a definite to put a stitch marker in there. I'll explain this in a minute because we're about to change the pattern in this round only of this set of 3. Yeah. So now we're chaining one more. Then what you want to do is you've chained one. You are in this stitch here and you can actually see your chains are in the stitch. That would be your next stitch to go in normally, but we're going to skip that stitch and go into the next. So you've got your V that you're in, skip one V and go into the very next V with a double crochet, forming a gap. Yeah, chain 1. You're going to do that again. Skip one V, go into the next V, forming a gap. Chain 1, and again the same thing. Chain 1. And again, the same thing. Chain 1. And again, the same thing. Now, this is how you know you've got your count wrong. All right, chain 1, right. You're skipping that next stitch and it should land in a corner stitch for you to go into and do a double crochet. Not necessary anymore. Oops, I just split the yarn there. To put a stitch marker in there, but I'm going to, just for the sake of it, yeah? So you're going to pop your stitch marker in if you want to. If you're an experienced crocheter and know what you're doing, don't worry about it. Chain 1, skip 1, go into your next. And if you played your cards right, you should end up with a double crochet chain 1 with every corner stitch you come to. Now, if you haven't done that, then you've moved your piece around, or you're 1 stitch short, or you're 2 stitches short, one or the other. It doesn't really matter in this case. At the end of the round, if you want to, you can fudge it. But the idea is to, get it right the first time and not worrying about fudging it. Once you fudge, you've got to fudge always. All right, so there I am in my very next corner. Now these corners, they don't matter anymore. Yeah. Oh, I've chained one. Don't get confused with the chain one. I'm just going to pop it in the stitch and not the chain one. They don't really matter anymore. However, it's important for you to know that that is how you know whether your stitch count has moved or whether your rounds have moved or whether your thread was, you know, placed in the wrong stitch and you moved over. It's a way of telling you that it's moved, yeah? It doesn't really matter because there's no corner anymore. There really is no corners. We've closed off those corners by putting a double crochet in the corner space in that very first round. Ah, here we are. No, still got this one more corner. Skip one more corner. I thought it was at the end of the round then, but we're not. It's another corner. Hello. I'm crochet happy. Skip one, jump into the next. Chain one, skip one, next. This is the last side by the looks of it. Skip, next. I think it is. We're about to find out, aren't we? Skip, next. Sure is. Oh, maybe not. Skip, next. I can't remember. Don't you love it? She can't remember. Skip. Ah, it is. All right. So the way this looks, it almost looks like it's wrong, but it's not. See these chains there leaning forward? If you push them upright, it shows they are in this stitch right here. Then you've got your space stitch and you are already in the stitch there. So you're not doing anything here. All you're doing, which you've done already, you've chained one, all you're doing is slip stitching into the stitch with the chains. That was pretty tight for me. Pull the loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook, and that's what you have so far. Now what you're going to do is chain 1, 2, 3, and this is the third repeat round. All right, I'll explain that again in a minute. All you have to remember is the yellow set is your first repeats of the set, and then you can continue in the colors that you like. Yeah. Now there are many ways you can do this part. You can put a double crochet over your whole piece like that, or if you're game, which I'm not going to do because mine are probably too tight, you can pop it in the chain, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to pop it right over the stitching like so. Then you're going to pop a double crochet in the next double crochet, or treble if you're using UK terminology. Yarn over your hook, in and over the space. Oops, oops. Into the stitch, into the space. Super easy. I love making this bag in the stitch. Yeah, in the space, in the stitch. Just rushing one side for you so you can do the rest yourself. In the space, in the stitch. Now there's your stitch marker right there, but guess what? You have a chain space before that stitch marker. So in the space and then into the stitch with your stitch marker, pull that stitch marker out and pop it in there. Just to help you with count later, not for any other reason, yeah? So from here, there's your double crochet that you are in. You're going into the next space. Nothing changes. Into the stitch. That's all you're doing in this round. Get way too excited. Way too excited. I'm loving this bag so far. It's beautiful. It's soft. Oh my gosh. All right, I got distracted. Now your job is to do just that. Double in the stitch, double in the space, stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, space, stitch, space. Get into your corner in the stitch. Replace your stitch marker. And then space, stitch, space, stitch, space. Do that all the way through. When you get to, let's get it closer. When you get to this last set, Wait for me there and we'll talk about what we're going to do next, all right? Continue doing that all the way through, get to your very last space, and I'll meet you there once you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of this side. Now we're going to finish off this side and then I want to show you something before we continue. So let's finish it off. I didn't do my last stitch there. And then we have a space before our chain 3. Make sure you go into that space or you will be short for your next round. Yeah. So what you're going to do is slip, take the stitch marker undone, slip stitch into the tight stitch. Don't you love it? Pull a loop through and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Pull up a loop like so. Pop your stitch marker in just that little loop of your work. Just for a second so that you can do that and it doesn't come undone. Yeah, that's a little tip I use often in my tutorials. I'm going to leave all my stitch markers there, but what we are going to do is weave in a couple of ends before we continue. Ordinarily, I would have made you weave in the ends at the white, but I wanted to show you this set first. So what we're going to do is turn it inside out, grab 1 or 2 ends of your work. I think I've got the wrong sewing needle here. Yeah, I've got the wrong needle, but it doesn't matter. We'll see how we go. If it doesn't work, I'll swap it. But you continue, guys. Grab your center thread, the one that we first started off with, and thread it. All right. We crocheted over the tail like that, didn't we? You're under the impression that's never coming undone. Wrong, it can. So you need to continue going in. I've got the wrong needle for sure. This one, let me show you why. See, this one's got like a flat edge to it. You need a pointier edge, not too pointy, but a little bit more because it's going inside this thickness. Just check the front that you can't see the needle there. And just pull that loop through like so. Do it one more time. Normally I do it 3 or 4 times. I'm going to do one more time. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front. Right? And then before you continue, you're going to go back in the other direction. The direction that you just came through out of, you're going back. But split 1 or 2 yarns, doesn't matter how many, and try and put your needle through a different area that you were in. Make sure you can't see the needle from the front. Yeah, and then you're going to do it one last time. Check the front, no needle, very good. And just pull it through. Once you've done that, grabbing your needle, I was going to pull the needle out, but it's stuck. Oh, here it goes, it's come out there. Giving it a cut, just gently do that and it falls into place. That's been crocheted on once, gone through a second time and weaved through that third time. It's not coming undone. It's not. Same with these threads that you have here. Let's do one that's not very easy to do here. These are the ones that I did before. Don't worry about that. We'll do the blue one because I think it's going to be a little bit too visible under that beautiful white, yeah? So grabbing your blue thread, your second blue thread if you will, and you are going to grab this needle and just remember we crocheted over the tail a little bit. So what I want you to do is split a little tiny bit of that white and you're going back into the place where we crocheted, through that area and into another stitch. Just having a look, I can actually see the needle in this one. You know, many times I say, check that you can't see the needle. Well, I can. So I'm going to take that undone and just go on top for now, making sure, and there you go, you can't see that needle now. So we're going to go on top for now. Oh yeah, this is pretty tight for me. I think I've gone through the knot, but that's okay. And then I'm going to go on top and go into the very next stitch. Again, making sure you can't see the needle. You can, but that's only through the space there. You won't be seeing that space at all. Yeah, and then straight into the very next set of stitches right there, making sure you can't see the needle. Yep, I don't know why I'm singing that, sorry. And then you can go back in the other direction, splitting a tiny little bit of white, going into different areas inside that blue. Before you do, inside the white, check the front, and there you go. I think that's plenty. Yeah. Now, if you've gone through the same area, you're going to find it's just going to come undone. Yeah. You don't want that. So make sure you split a tiny little bit of yarn. And when you give it a tug, that end hides inside your work. Now you need to do the same with your whites here. Yeah. Here and there. Now I've got that extra white here. So because my yarn ran out, but that doesn't matter. Let me start you off with the pink in a minute. But for your next two colors, you are going to repeat this round to this round for the next two colors. So let me start you off first. And what you did with your white in the previous round was oh, that's too far. Let's take that stitch marker out. It really works well with the stitch marker, doesn't it? So you've pulled up your loop, just pull it up completely, give it a cut, change to your pink. You can pop your pink anywhere, but decide where you want to put it. I'm just going to pop that stitch marker in that knot, leave it there, and just pop my pink in the stitch just before it, or the hook, or the corner just before it. You don't need the corners, but just in case, yeah. Popping your hook over that stitch, passing your pink through, chain 1, 2, and 3. And what are you going to do? You're going to do that row, or round I should say, that round there in the pink. So you're going to do these 3 rounds in your pink. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me do it. You're going to do it in your pink. Then you're going to do it again in the blue. There. So you're going to do 3 rounds. Let me bring that out. 3 rounds in your pink, 3 rounds in your blue, exactly like these rounds. And I'm going to put a timestamp right there now so that you can actually go back to that time and do these 3 rows in the pink and then again in the blue. Once you've completed that, meet me back here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Alrighty guys, this is what you should have so far. It's a little bit, awkward right now because it's not complete, but we are going to do that right now. Don't you love it? Such a cute little bag. Well, it's not completely little, is it? What was I doing? I'm doing the final round, and you should be on that final round of your blue. Yeah, if you're not on the final round of your blue, finish off those sets and then meet us back here, but we should all be here. So what we're going to do is slip stitch into the stitch with your stitch marker, taking out that stitch marker, pull up a loop, get way too excited because you've finished the crochet part of your bag. All right, and once again, you should still have, you could take out your stitch markers, you should still have 48 stitches in the round, which I didn't mention throughout the tutorial, but I did leave little disclaimers up the top. All right, so you should still have your 48 stitches. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create the little drawstring that goes through here. Now you can use any colour you like. To be honest with you, I played with the white and I didn't like it. I'm going to actually use the blue, but you can use any one of your 4 colours that you've used today. All right, so I'm going to use the blue. So grabbing the blue, alrighty guys, we are going to want to make some chains. We're going to start off with a slip knot, but give yourself a relatively long tail, only because we're going to work with that tail at the end. So wrap your working yarn, or your tail end, around your finger once and twice, holding it there, holding it down there, yeah? Pass your back loop halfway over your finger, hold it there, the other loop all the way over, pop your hook in and give it a tug. All right, so we initially have 48 stitches across our little bag, but we're not going to do 48 or it will be too small. We're not going to do 58, it'll be too big. we want it to fit around the wrist of, say, the young one or even yourself. So I'm thinking, I don't know, 56 or chain 56, all right? So yarn over your hook, pull a loop through once and twice, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so chain your 56. I'm going to pop this on fast for you and off we go. 6, 56. All right, you've got your 56. All I want you to do is pull up a loop, making it a relatively long tail again. Yes, oops, and pull that loop through. So you tighten it up there and you tighten it up there. All right, now your job is to grab your bag. Where's the hook? There it is. Couldn't find the hook. Hello. Hello. Okay, and just grab a tail, grab this tail and pull it through like that, right? And you're going to actually go over one of the spaces and under one of the spaces. So that's a through the top and through the back, front and back, put it that way. So front and back. And you can use your hands, front. Before you continue, just grab a stitch marker. This will hold this piece in place. Put it anywhere on your first stitch, your last stitch, whatever, and just pop it around your little post there. This way, if you pull it through a lot, it doesn't come undone, yeah? So now you are going through the back, into the front, and just keep doing that all the way. I don't know whether to put this on fast for you so you don't have to watch me do it. Okay, we're almost there, almost there. All right, this is where we are. We're going to pop this guy right through here like so. Yeah, and remember our little piece here, bring it up a little bit, just take out your stitch marker, and what you should have is that. We're going to make it even, like that. That's what you should have. So what we're going to do, just for now, we're just going to pull it. Actually, no, turn this one around, or whichever hand you like to use. Put them both together like that. Both of your pieces together like so. And you want to form a little knot, but what you want to do is make sure that knot goes right up to the top, right there. So bring it up first, like so, right up, and tighten it up, yeah? And you know what? One's not enough. We're going to do a second one. You don't have to do the second one. This is not compulsory. This is just me. You know, I'm so pedantic. Pushing it right up and doing just that. Then you flip her over. You grab your sewing needle. I'm going to give these a cut because they're a little bit fray. You grab your sewing needle and you can put them both in there if you like. My little eye is not that big enough, so I'm going to do one thread at a time. It doesn't matter either way. If you've got one with a bigger eye, that's good. I actually do have one with a bigger eye, but I don't know where it is. It's like anything really. So you got your threaded needle, yep. You pop your little needle through that hole and you pull it through, leaving that there like that. Then you grab your other one and you're going to do yet again exactly the same thing. Oops, don't drop it. Popping it, you can probably best hold it like this, tight, so you can get your needle through, like so. All right, so now what you have is your little pearl button, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it there. Now, if you lift that up, that's going to come undone. So you need to do pretty much what you've done here, you need to do there. So you've got to form a little knot. This is why I asked you to leave a really long tail. Now that knot, you want it to climb right up to the bead or pearl or button or whatever you want to call this. It's actually a button. I found this in the button section, but a lot of people call it a bead, which is okay too. And there you go. But guess what? To me, that's not big enough. That knot, I reckon that'll come through. So I'm going to do it yet again. And there. And there you go. And there's your knot. Now what you have is one little baggie done. Now if you want to cut this guy, I think cutting it a little bit would be good. Firstly because it's frayed, but also because it's a small bag. Do you really want your thing dangling so big? Now, I don't know about you, but I seriously would like to fill this guy up. Shh, don't tell anyone that I'm doing this. Nobody should know this. I went for a little Easter hunt before, and this is what I came up with. I think I've got another one. Here it is. There you go. How naughty am I? Can I bring this out? No, I can't. And you close her up, and that's what you've got. And you can put your little baggie like that. Yes, you can carry it like that, or you can carry it like that, or you can carry it any which way you like. Simply divine. I've made a mess here. So there you go. Check it out. Is it not simply divine? I love it, love it, love it. So I just want to thank everyone for watching today. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all the wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much always do for me. And don't forget, guys, we have our lives on Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m, Melbourne, Australia time. And we have a lot of fun on the lives, and this is one of the projects that I should have used our live antics for. If you're not sure what live antics is, I pop a whole lot of yarn on the table, and you as a subscriber, the one that I choose on the live that is, gets to choose the colour combination of our very next tutorial. I forgot all about Easter next weekend, so I chose these colours. But normally the subscribers choose. So thank you again for watching, guys, and all I want to say is, happy Easter. Yummy.